I think if you are a patriotic South African, you are right now just recovering from crying because I don't think there is a tear or an eye that is dry after watching the testimony of Warrant Officer Kyle Sander. Is it Sander or Stander? Since yesterday, I've been mind boggled. And I took note of the danger of affirmative action. I mean, I've always spoken against triple BEBE because it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Same goes with affirmative action. Affirmative action in this country, it was like a bath water that was thrown with the baby, and there was no plans put in place because this is how I would have done it if I was the ANC government coming in 1994 to date. I would have kept whichever way you want to define them, apartheid government or public servants and things of that nature, and create a program where skills were going to be transferred, because at the end of the day, nobody lives forever. Those white not Afrikaners per se, but apartheid public service, with age, they were going to grow. At some point, they're going to have to retire. And when they do retire, skills would have been transferred now to the new population, if you may, post 1994. But no. They took the baby and throw it with the bath water, and we find ourselves in the situation we are, because here's where the joke wrote itself. Mr. Carl, Warrant Officer Carl, he's the only one. When I say only one that has the expertise that he has in detecting narcotics, detecting counterfeits, and actually going there headstrong and know exactly what to do. But the evil South African Police Service, and I'm now questioning the police commissioner, not just Fanny Masemula, all the other police commissioners themselves. So you guys were pushing evil over South African safety and security simply because the person that is an expert in this field, not only he's honest, but also he's white. His sin is to be white in South Africa. Screw his expertise that is going to live with by the end of this year. Once he is gone, capiche, we don't have a person of such caliber, because the South African Police Service itself has been short-sighted, and the people that are in charge, all they ever wanted to do is make money. And anybody that was a good cop, they removed the good cop because that good cop stood in the way of their money with the Mexican cartels, by the look of things and sound of things. They took him and placed him in a charge office, somebody that has been a police officer since 1986. He's not supposed to be a warrant officer since 2003, if I'm not mistaken. And on top of that, consignments upon consignments of white powder are coming in, and he intercepts that and he tries to bring justice to that. He gets removed. He gets removed because there are corrupt cops and corrupt customs officials at the Durban port. Goodness knows what other ports are out there, and goodness knows what else is coming into South Africa without our knowledge. And the people that's supposed to be protecting us from these things, they're just enjoying the money. So let's go to what the whole testimony. You will remember that there was a consignment that has 4 DJs dead. Yeah, it has 4 DJs dead. It has people also that have been arrested, even though the arrest is on other stuff. But the suspects would be your Katie Mulife, your Kat Matlala, and so on and so forth. And this consignment, if I'm not mistaken, was worth 200 million rand. And this consignment was discovered or busted in the Durban harbor. And then they needed to find a storeroom for this particular consignment. Ispingo could not house the consignment simply because a week or two prior, there were floods that destroyed Durban. To this very day, there are people that are still sleeping in halls, community halls, because this government doesn't care. Or touch the illegal foreigners, they will give them all kinds of shelter, not our people. That's the government we're dealing with. But I digress. So subsequently, this consignment ended up in Port Shepstone. And in Port Shepstone, boom, they disappeared because there was housebreaking of where this consignment was stored. And now we know what actually happened. It was stolen. As a result, we got 4 DJs that are gone. I say five. Even though it's something that people don't want to talk about because this is their favorite artist, I understand, but I would squeeze in the fifth one in this particular the consequences of this consignment disappearing. Now, you had the head of Hawks, Mr. Sinona, you had Flynn, you had Stain, you had other police officers that were called onto the stand, and they told actually what happened or what happens when a consignment of such nature is caught, etc., and so on. And so, Mr. Carl here, he is like a drug whisperer. If you That's how I think he was describing himself, because he's even said sometimes I catch the drugs myself before the sniffer dogs find them. That's a whisperer. You can hear this is the thing. And he gave us, I was like, this is like watching or reading a Hollywood script for a Wild Wild West movie. Maybe not even a Wild Wild West movie because it involved cowboys. Like some kind of an action movie. Maybe the Italian Job or something like that. I don't know. But the thing is, he opened our eyes about those ships that you see when you are sitting at the beach and you are relaxed and you are having the good time of your life, not knowing that some of these ships are here to unalive our children because some Mexican cartel in cahoots with the people at the ports, and those people at the ports in cahoots with the police, including the Hawks. And he is the only one who says, listen, I'm being moved out of the way because I was doing my job diligently. I was arresting narcotics, I was arresting counterfeits, etc., and so on. So when that 200 million rand consignment was stolen, people had to be subjected to a lie detector test. That also includes Warrant Officer Carl, who was on leave both occasions. When the consignment arrived in South Africa, I think in June, he was on leave. And then I guess when it was discovered that the consignment is gone was some months later. And on that particular day when they broke in, he was on leave. And so Sinona and them said, you, and all of y'all are going to be subject to lie detector tests. Now, he was confused. Why are you putting me under lie detector test when I was on leave on both occasions? So it's quite clear that the plan was to shift the blame onto a warrant officer, Kyle. It was quite clear that he was the one who's going to take the fall. He was the one that's going to get prosecuted and also convicted. And probably there were people that were going to be smeared onto it, because we now learned through this process of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry that police officers, when they get rid of each other, they smear cases on each other, just like they're doing with the public. speaking about this is giving me a headache because I feel so helpless and I feel like yo kuningi. Oh, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. So he finds out yesterday, Mr. Carl, regarding the lie detector test, the results, but he doesn't get the full because he was never told about the results. So from 2021 to date, he's not been told about the lie detector test, how it came out. Was it deceptive or was he innocent or whatever the language is used there? And so advocate Sigel Ngubem does something that I feel was so humane to release this man from the grip of abyss. That dot that was next to his name without even knowing if it's there, it's not there. This man was accused of crimes, but never charged, but was suspended, but never also had a disciplinary commission. All because they wanted to shift him out of the way so that the criminal police, all the way to the top, head of the Hawks in KwaZulu-Natal. And I hope, sir, when all this is proven beyond a reasonable doubt, obole, and I mean physically, obole. You cannot do this to another human being and believe that you are going to get away with it. You are not special. You are not special. And if futhi because you're a black person, you know this. Inyembezi zomuntu ayiweli phansi mahala. You know this, and I hope they burn you. These tears. Zikushise. Hayi cha unenhlizwe mbiba bomuntu uyazazi ukuthi ubani engikhuluma ngaye. Uyimbi inhliziyo yakho. Yimbi nje inhliziyo yakho. And I'm going to be watching you on Friday and all I would see is evil. And this confirms that when you are evil. So, the warrant officer, Kyle, he discovered that he's innocent. He's innocent. He's always been innocent. Of course, he will be innocent because he was not present when that consignment was discovered or busted in KwaZulu-Natal. He was on leave. And when also it was stolen, he was on leave. So you can tell that the plan here was to blame him when ish hits the fan. Ayinenhliziyo embi babomuntu. Yimbi inhliziyo yakho ayikubolise. You must rot. But then again, what happens after here? We're no longer going to have a drug expert at the Durban Harbor. And guess who's celebrating? Guess who is celebrating? And this man is adamant in leaving. There's nothing you can say that will convince him otherwise. And here's my advice to you, Warrant Officer Carl. Sir, retire. The South African Police Service will still need your services. Turn around and turn this into a business. Be a consultant, and every money and salary you ought to have earned as you were going up the ranks in the South African Police Service, but they suppressed you, charge 10 times more. Charge 10 times more so you can recover your dignity. Because after here, who's going to be doing it? The way these people were so short-sighted, they didn't even ask Kyle, can you pass over this skill to the young ones? No, they didn't. Because they don't want such an expert hovering around the Durban Harbor. So that they can freely let things that are not supposed to be coming into the country come into the country and they make money. Lifestyle audit. You see, yabona futhi lo satane. The one also figure on Friday, lifestyle audit is needed on him. Awu satane babo muntu. There's no beating about the bush about this one. Ungu satane. Oh muntu. But I've always said this about affirmative action as well, that affirmative action, there are those that benefited out of it and they always defend it. I understand. But a lot of black women and white women who's supposed to benefit from affirmative action, including people living with disabilities. I have witnessed a person living with disability in Transnet being removed because a lady that had to lay on her back, allegedly she passed away subsequently, had to be replace her with the what do you call this, somebody that has been working since 2000 in Transnet, living with disabilities. Those are the people that's supposed to benefit the most out of affirmative action. But look what's going on in our country. How is it working for us? Because there needs to be transfer of skills, transfer of knowledge, transfer of techniques, etc., and so on. You don't take the baby and throw it in the bath water. Anyways, the Madlanga Commission, I believe, is coming back in. Oh, it's actually back because it's 11:25. We'll talk later. While I'm still recovering, you know, when I see somebody cry, I cry too. I'm a cancer, so yeah, I cry too. So I'll see you guys later. Please, let's see each other later because I believe there's a new witness and I want to know who the witness is by name and all of that stuff. Okay, see you later. Goodbye.